up, backyard bassing fans? Today we're going to go over a tough tournament condition and a little bit about Carolina rigging. All right, so yesterday fished a tournament at one of my favorite lakes. Um, it is a really grassy lake. Went over there yesterday morning. We took off about right at 5 o'clock. It was still pretty dark out. Went over, fished this spot, and come to find out, by the time daylight hit, the grass mats were gone. I don't know what happened with them. I don't know if they up and floated away due to high water because of all the flooding we've had, or if they got sprayed. I'm not for sure yet. I did find a little bit of some of them, and they look kind of yellow, so I'm kind of worried that maybe they got sprayed. I hope they didn't. But anyway, with saying that, you know, I throw frogs a lot over there. Usually a hollow body frog, popping frog, stuff like that, which usually work pretty well. But with that grass gone, I fished it for about 30 minutes, I guess, and never had a swipe at it, no bites, no nothing. So I went to a rage frog and actually started catching fish. They were hitting it pretty good. I didn't have any missing or nothing like that. When they come up to get it, they come up and they took all of it. So they worked really well. Caught about 4 or 5 on that, probably within about 30 minutes. Worked pretty good. As soon as the sun come up, they were pretty well done with that. They wanted nothing to do with topwater. So I ended up going to a swim jig, which usually works pretty good over there, going through the grass and stuff like that. They weren't having any of it. They wouldn't bite at it. They weren't swiping at it. They weren't doing nothing. Changed my colors a couple times. Still wasn't no good. So then I went to a Texas rig and started popping that off the bottom and a jig. Didn't have much luck there. I had maybe 1 or 2 bites. Nothing really major or nothing. Started getting a little warm, so I moved out to some steeper points, good rock points, and started throwing a Carolina rig. And had a little bit of luck with that. Nothing of size. It wasn't nothing great. But I was getting consistent bites out there. So kind of stuck with that a little bit more. And one thing I want to talk to you guys today about was actually how I rig my Carolina rig. I have 2 different ways, depending on what's happening. I'll grab this one here. Oh. So this is it's just your traditional Carolina rig. Get this one out of the way here. So all right, guys. So as you can see here, you know, I tell a lot of people I do got a little grass left there. What was left in the lake probably. It's all gone now. All right. So that is just your traditional Carolina rig right there. It's got a bead, a weight, your swivel at the bottom. On this, at the top, I'm actually throwing, this one is a 20-pound fluoro for your main line. On the bottom, I like to use, this is a 17-pound mono. Now, I know a lot of guys ask, you know, why I throw mono on this. Number one, it floats. So it does keep your bait up off the bottom a little bit better and kind of in that, you know, that fish's face. A lot of times they're not laying right there on the bottom. You know, they might be off the bottom like 6 inches or a foot. So this kind of goes right in front of them a lot of times. The other reason I like using mono is because it does have stretch. When you get out and you're throwing, you know, let's just say 30 yards out and you're down a little bit deeper and you go to set that hook, you're setting it with just about everything you have because it's a long throw to begin with. So when you do that, that mono has a tendency to stretch when you set that hook, which pins them really good, but it also allows that fish to jump around and play with it and pull around on it a lot, and they don't pull it out as much, in my opinion. So I really like using that. This is the old monster, the plum worm I'm using here. That's probably one of my favorite Carolina rig baits right there. I absolutely just love that. We'll go into this other one here, and I'll explain why and where I use this. All right. And I'm going to rig this up for you guys and show you how I do it. There's a couple different ways you can do it, actually. So, grab my line here. Now, the one thing I will tell you about this technique that I do is this is a full braid. I don't use any leaders, nothing like that at all. And I'll explain why here in a minute. So, on this one, instead of doing my weight and my bead and all that and the swivel, I get away from that. So what I do is this is a 3/4 ounce, just a lead weight. And honestly, guys, I quit using the lead weights because when you get down into rock and stuff like that and you're banging that lead weight around, let me show you what happens. If you can see the tip of that right there, it gets banged up, ends up smashing the nose of that bait, and it ends up crimping your line, which ends up getting a bad spot in your line and you end up breaking off a lot. So pretty much all of my weights now are all tungsten. You don't have that problem with tungsten. So I've did away with pretty much every lead weight I've got, except for this one I'm just using for demonstration here because it's a little bit bigger and easier to see. But what I'll do is I'll feed my weight on there, just drop it down. In my Carolina rigs, I can go anywhere from about 18 to 24 inches usually. I'll go a little bit longer if it's real clear water, and I'm going to use, like, let's just say a fluorocarbon leader because it's so clear. If not, I'll go down to almost like a 15-pound low vis braid that's got a smaller diameter just to keep it a little bit more low key. But when I'm doing this, there's other things you can do with this. They actually sell a little stopper too that you can pinch with your pliers that opens up a little slit in it, and then you slide your line through, and when you let go of it, it crimps down on your line. I don't have any of those right now, or I'd show them to you, but these are just regular bobber stops. So, and you always want to use 2. If you get up to 1 ounce weight, you're in a little bit deeper stuff, go with 3 if you have to. Just make sure it ain't sliding on it. So, stick 2 of these on, and I'm going to slide these up to about how long I want my leader. So about right there. Now this is the end, just main line, just tag your hook on that like you normally would. Now the reason I do this, if you get finicky bass that are picking up the weight, you feel them hit it one time and then they drop it. A lot of times what's happening is they're picking up and they're feeling that weight and they feel something tug back on them, so they drop it right away. Doing it this way, two reasons here. One, you can adjust this leader length just by sliding those bobber stops up or down however you want. Number 2, when they bite this thing and that weight's sitting on the bottom and they go running off with it, guess what? All that line just pulls right out with it. So they don't ever feel that. So you get a little bit better hookup ratio that way too. Like I said, they won't feel that weight then. So it does help out a lot. And the reason I use the braid is I would use braid all the time if they wouldn't see it so easy and everything else. But your braid's sensitive. You feel everything on there. Even the little bitty bites, you're going to feel it a lot more. So it does help out. If you're a beginner and have never thrown a Carolina rig, I would definitely suggest this method right here. You're going to feel it more. You're not going to be worried about breaking it nearly as much because you can throw that 50 to 65 pound braid. And the other thing is if you get this hung up a little bit, and like I said, I don't use the lead weights anymore, but if you get it hung up a little bit and you start yanking around on this thing eventually will go down and just slide down to your hook. So then you're just like a Texas rig. So all your stuff's in one spot. It'll make it a little bit easier to get it out sometimes. Now, if you bury it in between 2 rocks, you're probably not getting it out. But a lot of other scenarios, you'll be able to pop it out most of the time. I know a couple guys have been commenting on the audio for this, and guys, I'm sorry, I'm working on it. I love this camera. The picture is awesome, and I'll be flat out honest with you, I am not impressed with the audio whatsoever. It's a $99 camera. Like I said, got a great picture. I can't complain about that whatsoever. But there is no way to do an external mic on this thing, which I hate. I can do an external device and do have that pick up as the microphone, but then I've got to link it all together and try to download it together, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm going to try to work through this. I'm going to try to talk a little bit louder, see if that helps out and everything. I will show you guys a fish catch that I caught the other day, and just listen to the audio. It's horrible. I mean, you can't pick up anything. You don't hear any outside noises, and unless I'm down talking straight to the camera, you cannot hear it. So that's about all I got for you guys today. I'll roll that clip real quick. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
Fighter? Oh, I want to get the net. No kidding. Want to get the scale out? Huh?
Right there, boys.